Today we're going to begin the endocrine system. The endocrine system is slow acting. The endocrine system creates hormones. Hormones are chemical messengers, and they relay information and instructions between cells that perform individual jobs. They include 1, growth, 2, development, and 3, reproduction. The human body produces a lot of chemicals called hormones. They are secreted by organs of the endocrine system. These hormones play a vital role in growth and development of the body. They also regulate mood. They also include proper functioning of the organs. They also include reproductive processes and metabolism. The endocrine system's organs release hormones directly into the bloodstream. Some important hormones of the endocrine system include growth hormones, thyroid hormones, insulin, calcitriol, and reproductive hormones. Growth hormone is an important hormone. Let's go into that for a minute. In children, growth hormone supports muscular and skeletal development. In adults, it maintains normal blood glucose concentrations and mobilizes lipid reserves. Next, let's cover thyroid hormones. Thyroid hormones are important in the human body. If absent during fetal development or for the first year, the nervous system fails to develop normally and mental retardation can result. If concentrations decline before puberty, normal skeleton development will not continue. Two more important hormones in the human body are insulin and calcitriol. Insulin is very important for maintaining blood glucose levels in the human body. It allows the passage of glucose and amino acids across the plasma or cell membranes. Calcitriol is very important also. It promotes the absorption of calcium salts for deposition in the bone. If the levels of calcitriol are inadequate, it causes weak and flexible bones. Next are the reproductive hormones. In the males, that includes the androgens. In the females, that includes estrogen. What these reproductive hormones do is stimulate cell growth and differentiation in target tissues, the sex organs. They also produce gender-related differences in skeletal proportions at secondary sex characteristics. There are peptide hormones, and peptides regulate sleep, blood sugar concentration. They are made from long strings of amino acids, so sometimes they are referred to as protein hormones. Human growth hormone is an example of a protein hormone. This does help burn body fat and build muscle. Another peptide hormone is insulin, and that starts the process to convert sugar into cellular energy and also absorb sugar across the cell membrane. Make sure you know this image. It shows you each organ and the hormones it secretes. This will be on the test. For example, the hypothalamus produces ADH, oxytocin, and regulatory hormones. Know the pituitary gland. It produces ACTH, TSH, growth hormone, PRL, FSH, LH, MSH. The anterior pituitary releases oxytocin and ADH. Next is the thyroid gland. It produces thyroxine and calcitonin. Know the thymus gland produces thymosins. The adrenal gland, or the suprarenal glands, they produce epinephrine, norepinephrine, and cortisol, corticosterone, aldosterone, and androgens. Know the pineal gland. It produces melatonin. Know the parathyroid glands produce PTH, or parathyroid hormone. The heart produces ANP and BNP. The kidney produces erythropoietin, or EPO, and calcitriol. Adipose tissue produces leptin. The digestive tract produces numerous hormones we'll cover in the digestive system. Pancreatic islets produce insulin and glucagon, and the gonads in the male, it's the testes, and it produces androgens and especially testosterone. In the females, it's the ovaries, and it produces estrogens and progestins. There are 7 major organs of the endocrine system, and the first one is the pituitary gland. It's the main organ of the endocrine system, and it's known as the master gland. The pituitary gland is located on the lower side of the brain, and it's the size of a pea. It controls the menstrual cycle in women. It secretes endorphins that control pain. It consists of 2 parts, the anterior pituitary and the posterior pituitary. It also produces certain hormones like growth hormone that aids in proper growth and development of body tissues, and prolactin, a hormone that triggers milk production in lactating mothers. Here you see the hypothalamus and pituitary gland. Next is the hypothalamus. It was pictured in the previous slide. It sits above the pituitary gland in the brain and connects both the endocrine system with the nervous system. Remember, the endocrine system is slow acting, the nervous system is fast acting. The hypothalamus helps the pituitary gland secrete hormones and assist it. Since emotional and seasonal changes trigger the secretion of pituitary hormones, the hypothalamus transmits information like change in temperature, light, feelings, etc., and is sensed by the brain to the pituitary gland. And here the hypothalamus is pictured, and the red is the pituitary gland. Now the thyroid. The thyroid is a butterfly-shaped gland found in the front part of the lower neck. It produces thyroxine, and it controls the chemical reactions in the body like burning food to produce energy, stimulate metabolism of fats, proteins, and vitamins. Thyroid hormones contribute toward bone growth and proper development of the brain and nervous system in children. The parathyroid glands are tiny glands attached to the thyroid. They make calcitonin, a hormone that controls the level of calcium in the blood. Here's a picture showing you the thyroid and parathyroid glands. Now we're going to cover the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands are situated on top of the kidneys. They have 2 parts, the adrenal cortex and the adrenal medulla. The adrenal cortex secretes a hormone called corticosteroids, which controls the level of salt and water in the body. Also, the rate of metabolism, the immune system, sexual development and function, and the response of the body to stress. Secondly is the adrenal medulla. It releases a hormone called epinephrine, also known as adrenaline. When the body is stressed, epinephrine increases the heart rate, dilates the blood vessels and the air passages, and helps the body gain more oxygen. It also is used to treat allergic reactions caused due to a foreign protein. Here we see the adrenal glands and the kidneys pictured. Now we're going to cover the pineal gland. The pineal gland is found at the center of the brain. It's shaped like a pine cone and reddish gray in color. This tiny gland is made of glial cells. It connects the endocrine and nervous system together. It secretes melatonin, and it regulates the sleep cycle and hormonal changes during adolescence. Here the pineal gland is pictured. Next, we're going to begin the reproductive glands or gonads. They secrete the sex hormones. Androgen, of which the most necessary is testosterone, a male sex hormone, and progesterone and estrogen, the female sex hormones. In the male gonads, they're called testes. They're located in the scrotum. The male sex hormones influence the changes related to the physical and sexual development and the male secondary sex characteristics like growth of pubic and facial hair, change in voice, etc. Testosterone also assists in sperm production. In the female gonads or ovaries, they secrete the female sex hormones, estrogen and progesterone, which help in stimulating the production of eggs. Moreover, they're responsible for the physical changes that occur during puberty, besides regulating the menstrual cycle. Here pictured are the major glands and organs that secrete hormones, and you see the ovaries and the testes in both the male and female. Now we're going to cover the pancreas. It secretes insulin. That's a hormone that allows the passage of glucose and amino acids across the cell or plasma membrane. It also helps out the digestive system. It releases pancreatic fluid that contains digestive enzymes that pass into the small intestine. These enzymes help further break down the carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids. Lipids are also fats into chyme. Here we see the pancreas. Now we're going to begin the diseases of the endocrine system. What is type 1 diabetes? In type 1 diabetes, the person's own body has destroyed the insulin-producing cells in the pancreas. A person with type 1 diabetes does not produce insulin. Usually it appears before the patient is 40 years old. It's about 15% of all diabetes patients, and they have type 1 diabetes. People with type 1 have to take insulin in order to stay alive. Type 1 diabetes is not preventable. Whether a person is fat, thin, fit, unfit makes no difference to his or her risk of developing type 1 diabetes. The vast majority of people who develop type 1 diabetes are not overweight and are otherwise healthy during the onset. You cannot reverse or prevent type 1 diabetes by doing lots of exercise or eating carefully. The beta cells are not being made in the pancreas and are causing the disease. In other words, they're destroyed, and so they don't produce insulin anymore. Next is type 2 diabetes. This is a lifelong chronic disease in which high levels of sugar or glucose are in the blood. Type 2 diabetes is the most common form of diabetes, and it's caused by a problem in the way your body makes or uses insulin. Another disease of the endocrine system is acromegaly. It's a metabolic disorder in which there's too much growth hormone and the body tissues gradually enlarge. The next few pages will show you people with acromegaly. Another name for acromegaly could be called giantism, and this is just showing you some images that you can get an idea. Dwarfism is another disease of the endocrine system, and it's due to growth hormone deficiency, and it refers to abnormally short height in childhood due to a lack of growth hormone. The next few images will be of people with a form of dwarfism or a lack of growth hormone production.